Welcome to the production facility of the Glenmorangie Company, one of the world's most famous, respected and best-selling malt whiskies. We're here today to look at how the Glenmorangie Company has successfully achieved the ISO 14001 standard for environmental management through its certification partner NQA. Before we look at business benefits ISO 14001 has brought the company, can you tell us a bit more about the history of Glenmorangie?
The Glenmorangie Company have enjoyed success for many years now, and the two distilleries that we own and operate are Ardbeg Distillery and Glenmorangie Distillery. Glenmorangie Distillery is the home of our brand that was procured by William Matheson in 1843 as a brewery, and we've been distilling whisky there ever since. We produce over 6 million litres per annum at Glenmorangie Distillery every year, and the distillery enjoys the tallest stills in the whole of the industry, which is akin to the size of a fully grown adult giraffe.
Can you give me some background as to why Glenmorangie wanted to become certified to ISO 14001?
Well, we've always taken the environmental performance of the company very seriously, and we've always had internal procedures and processes in place to manage the environment. However, in 2010 we were part of an industry-wide group in the Scottish Whisky Association who developed an environmental strategy for the industry as a whole and set stretching KPIs for the whisky industry. However, we realised that we as a business wanted to go that step further, and we decided that employing ISO 14001 as a tool and a framework would allow us to do that.
So John, as you know, a key component of ISO 14001 is determining those activities which have the most significant impacts upon the environment. What were some of the environmental impacts you identified as needing to be managed when implementing your environmental management system? Before
completing our certification process, we asked NQA to complete a gap analysis to show us where any improvements needed to be made in the systems that we already had in place. As a result, that gave us an impartial view of where we were at and essentially cast a second pair of eyes on how we were doing, allowing us to plan and prepare the process of achieving accreditation. The key impacts of our business include the water that we use as part of our production process. Currently we source that at Glenmorangie Distillery from Tarlogie Springs, so it's incumbent on us to look at how we use, recycle and possibly reuse that water in the distillation process. Similarly, barley is a big part of what we do, and it's obviously a raw ingredient that we need to protect and ensure we've got in good supply. So we're interested in how the barley is farmed, how it's transported to the distillery, and as a result try and minimise our impact on the environment.
Scotch whisky is a truly global product. Emerging markets such as China and India provide Glenmorangie with great business opportunities internationally. In order to reach these global markets, your products need to be distributed to locations thousands of miles away. How do you manage the environmental impact on an international basis?
We have a very efficient and effective way of transporting our finished products around the globe. Currently, we ship most of our products to hubs in either the UK or in France. That allows our products to be consolidated with other Moët Hennessy products before being shipped across the whole of the globe. The ISO 14001 certification allows us to review and continually improve how we distribute our products.
Are Glenmorangie customers and stakeholders becoming increasingly aware of the environmental impacts of whisky companies?
Absolutely. Most of our consumers these days are very environmentally conscious, and as such we as a company need to be able to demonstrate to them that we are producing the whisky in the most environmentally friendly manner. So as a result, being accredited to ISO 14001 allows us to give our consumers some assurance that they're making the right environmentally conscious choices when they select Glenmorangie as a product.
Okay, so we're here now at the bottling plant of the Glenmorangie Company, where over 10 million bottles are produced every year. We're going to have a look next at how ISO 14001 has impacted upon the culture of the organisation, the changes that have been involved and the way that it's been adopted at all levels, from management right the way down to the operatives of the machinery itself. As a member of the senior management team, why have you been so keen for your company to achieve ISO 14001 and to focus upon environmental management?
Achieving ISO 14001 certification proves to everyone that we've got an environmental program in place, and that's very critical to us. It's critical to Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy and the Glenmorangie Company. It's particularly important to us because we're a branded company and our consumers demand the fact that we have great environmental programs in place.
How has your day-to-day role changed since Glenmorangie increased its focus on environmental management?
Since the company was certified with ISO 14001, from the offset The main thing was to get the processes and procedures in place. From there, training was delivered to all employees within the company basically on how we were going to carry this forward. We also hold toolbox talks each quarter to with new up-to-date versions, any practices, new equipment we're bringing in, or new systems we're changing for the environmental policy. And also through the continuous improvement process, people can come up with new ideas of ways they want to improve the system going forward.
This state-of-the-art bottling facility was given an official royal opening in 2011. It's a purpose-built centre that was part of a multi-million-pound investment programme by the Glenmorangie Company. John, can you outline the key environmental and financial benefits perhaps that Glenmorangie has gained since it became certified to ISO 14001?
Yes, working to the ISO 14000 standard has allowed us to achieve substantial benefits. For example, since implementing the standard, we've reduced CO2 output by 28% and increased our recycling rate by over 80%. This is at a time when our production volumes continue to increase. Continuing to use the ISO 14001 standard allows us to keep reviewing our business, and as a result look for additional savings, whether that be financial or an environmental arena as well. Having an accredited environmental management system in place allows us to continually monitor our legal compliance. As a result, we can put into place the necessary processes and procedures to mitigate any fines or indeed prosecutions that we might otherwise have suffered should we not have a robust environmental management system in place.
What advice would you give to other companies in other industries considering progressing towards ISO 14001?
My advice to any organisation would be to plan and plan again. It's crucial that you give the time and resource to ensure that you develop a system that will meet the requirements of the ISO 14001 standard. Similarly, it's really important that you get your senior executive buy into the process. Otherwise, the system won't get the commitment that it deserves from the whole organisation. In addition to that, it's also worthwhile having the right resource in place. For example, it gave Glenmorangie the opportunity to create the role of an environmental engineer who was able to project manage and drive the whole ISO 14001 process, and as a result we were able to achieve accreditation at the first time of asking.
Once you had implemented ISO 14001, why did you choose to gain third-party certification?
Well, third-party certification gives us the assurance that our environmental management system is performing to the level that we would expect. Similarly, it gives us some credibility in the eyes of our stakeholders.
So why did you choose NQA as a certification partner?
As a business, we went through a very rigorous selection process, and when NQA presented to us, they did so in a very professional manner. We felt that NQA were in tune with the Glenmorangie brands and culture as well, which made them a very appealing partner from our point of view.
When the Glenmorangie Company first approached NQA with regard to ISO 14001 certification, there were several stages the company had to go through in order to achieve this. The first stage really was to plan and to identify what their existing environmental impacts were, which were already well under control in terms of legal compliance and managing those aspects and impacts. The second stage was to implement the programs they had in place to improve those environmental impacts even further and go well beyond legal compliance and demonstrate best practice within the industry. There was then a process of ongoing checking to make sure that they were continually improving the control over which they had those aspects, and then finally there was a process of review whereby they sat down on a periodic basis and measured the improvements that were being achieved. Well, John, it's really great to know that one of the world's great single malt whiskies like Glenmorangie is produced not only with the quality of the whisky in mind, but also with an eye on reducing the environmental impact associated with the product.
It's important for the Glenmorangie Company to consider the values of environmentally conscious consumers in the production process. As a result, ISO 14001 allows us to give our consumers a peace of mind when enjoying a wee dram.